Hey there, welcome back. And today we are going to talk about Afnan's latest release, which is the 9pm Elixir. Okay, now this one is actually surprisingly pretty good. Okay, now in fact, I think all of the 9pm series that they have done so far, all have been fantastically good, especially with the 9pm, the original one. That was something really good. Then there have been a couple of daywear kind of flankers which have not done so well, but especially the Rebel was fantastic. That was a really good release, and so is the case of the 9pm Elixir, and that's what I think. And I'll tell you why I think so, and let's talk about the scent profile of this fragrance, the loudness, all of it, and the very important question: should you consider getting it for this winter, or could it be the most sexiest fragrance release of this particular year? I mean, there is already the Teriyaki Intense, which I thought was one of the most sexiest fragrances that came out this year, but I feel this is going to be even better. Well, let me talk all about it and tell you how this kind of smells like and should you consider getting it, like I said earlier. So let's get on to this particular review. You're looking at the Perfume Experience. My name is Rodney. Let's get on with it right after this intro. Well, welcome back, and the first thing that you should definitely do, hit the subscribe button, or right next to the subscribe button you'll also find a button called hype. Please do that if you think this video is going to help somebody get understanding of this particular fragrance, or if you typically like the channel and the reviews that I bring, right? So we are going to talk about the 9pm Rebel, or sorry, the 9pm Elixir, and I always keep getting the name Rebel in my mouth because I think that's a fantastic release. So the box is very similar to the one that we had earlier. Now this is a completely brown colored box and it has the stripes in it, but also inside is the bottle, and there is this beautiful design element that you will see all across, sitting very nicely done. And if you look at the box has this lovely engraved, graving inside, or kind of a pattern, very beautiful. And if you look very closely, there's also the fragrance note that sits there. Okay, now importantly, the bottle itself looks like this, which is a very beautiful bottle in my opinion. And there's a color scheme, right? The entire color scheme is brown, dark brown, and the Afnan logo right at the top. And this is beautiful. Now generally we try a first spray, and sometimes some fragrances wow you, some fragrances are like, okay, we should give this another try. This was a wow factor. Okay, the first try, the first spray that I did, it was instant love for me because I absolutely love this kind of a dark DNA, and this is a fantastic blend that way. So the sprayer is really good. If you want to check out the sprayer, let me try doing that. Okay, it kind of goes inside. Okay, so that was a sprayer. I'm not sure if that got captured very well, but let's do a couple of sprays and I'll tell you what this kind of smells like. And in the meantime, let me tell you what the notes of this fragrance are, so that just to give you an idea of what kind of a scent profile we are talking about. We're talking about a very resinous, nutty, dark kind of a fragrance, and that's why the entire bottle is this dark brown color bottle. So to give you a hint, it is nutmeg, LMA, cardamom. So it's an oriental spicy kind of a fragrance with a good amount of, like, say, a smoky kind of a background. Then it is also supported well with pimento, lavender, leather. Okay, so pimento is again a chili, a spicier element. Lavender is, I think, the lavender absolute note that you kind of is allowed by IFRA right now. So that's the one. And then of course leather. Okay, then there is siste, which I'm not really sure how that smells like, but there is labdanum, patchouli, and vanilla, right? So the labdanum, patchouli are more of earthy nuances, they are more of spicy, dry kind of element. And if you smell this fragrance right up, the first instance that you get is a very beautiful spicy fragrance that has got sweetness and spicier elements at the same time. Now there are two types of spices here. There is the cold spices and the hot spices, right? The cold spices here, typically we're talking about the nutmeg, the cardamom, and the LME, which kind of, LME is a raisin, okay, which is typically used in a lot of Middle Eastern fragrance, but it has a very nutty kind of an element to it. Okay, so when these three elements come together, you get a very spicier kind of a opening, which is very dark tone, right? If you think about, if you want to get a visual representation in terms of what kind of a fragrance we are talking about, think about the Hugo Boss bottle Absolute, think something like that, right? So a very dark, resinous, spicier kind of a note. And then supported with the hot spice, which is basically pimento in this case, and of course the lavender type of a vibe, and leather. Now the leather is not the dark typical animalic type of leather that you kind of generally get in fragrances like leather by Armor or any of the other leather fragrances. Here the leather is almost like suede leather. It is very subtle, very creamy, very beautiful, very light in the background. Now, and the dry down on this one is a very woodier nuance, so it's mostly earthy because there is patchouli and there is vanilla. So overall, kind of smells absolutely beautiful, smells very dark, mysterious and sexy at the same time, and I generally absolutely enjoyed it. And somewhere in the hint of all of this, there is like a metallic type of a vibe, or there's a very beautiful minty type of an accord. Now the mint type of an accord is something that you would typically see with like let's say the Ultra Male or the 9pm, the original 9pm, where there is the pear note and the mint note and the all of that lavender type of vibe. Typically something like that is what you kind of get here, but this is absolutely masculine. This is super sexy. Now for the ones who don't know, this is a fragrance that's a blend between the Jean Paul Gaultier's Elixir, okay, and the Absolute, which both came out in recent times. So for the Elixir, of course, we know that we have a lot of flankers, the Havas flanker, the Havas Elixir, then there is the Kingdom. So there are lots of it, right? The Rehan Crimson, all of that, right? But the Absolute as such is I don't think so we have a lot of inspired fragrances for that, or a lot of flankers available for that. So this one is actually supposed to be a blend of these two fragrances, because of which, while the Elixir itself was a little bit of the vanilla side, it was a little softer, this one goes beautifully loud and masculine. Now, I do see that there are certain people referring to this particular fragrance as a beast mode scent, which I don't think it is. It isn't a beast mode scent. But is it loud? Yes, absolutely loud. The first few sprays or the first few minutes, it is like an explosion to your senses. It kind of really opens up with those spicier nuances, that sweetness, the spicy elements, the dark tones, all of them come hitting right at you, and you really get wowed by that first few minutes, okay? But immediately after the 20-25 minutes, so to say, the fragrance starts to soften up a lot, and then it kind of goes from here and right like that, right? It kind of drops very quickly to a great level in terms of how the softness happens, and then you get a completely beautiful powdery kind of a dry down where you have that lovely vanilla, you have a little bit of this patchouli that we were talking about, and that kind of an element kind of sits across, right? Now, I really like this fragrance, and that's why I believe this will be one of the most beautiful fragrances that you should encounter this year. Now, the manufacturing of this particular fragrance is packed in June. Okay, so this is September that we are reviewing, and I still feel that the fragrances cannot completely macerated well. Okay, so typically I would say that if you were to own this flanker, and let's say maybe another 3 months down the line, you can definitely expect performance which is absolutely loud all throughout, because it would have macerated well and it would really perform well. Currently, at this point of time, I do get a performance about 5 hours roughly is what I would say, wherein the first 25 to 1 hour, 1 hour 15 minutes is where I think it's pretty loud, pretty noticeable per se, and after that it kind of gets a little softer, but that's absolutely okay because this is a beautiful fragrance to look at. Now, this one is the party fragrance, okay? This is your party fragrance. This could be your new date night fragrance, because this is going to get you compliments. This is going to get you a lot of liking, especially with people who like a lovely dark tone, mysterious, kind of scent. This is absolutely beautiful, okay? And I like the way the Afnan has done this, because the way in which the fragrance smells, the sweetness, the spicier element, the overall scent profile is absolutely gorgeous, and this one is a winner that Afnan has actually launched, and it's fantastically done, really good. So it is unisex, but it is more male dominant as a scent. So a lot of men would love wearing this. Women can actually pull it off, but it will definitely be a little bit of a cautious approach there you want to take. But overall, if you think about fragrances and if you think about winter fragrances, this one is a killer, okay? And let's put it this way, if you were to own one winter fragrance from Afnan this year, it's going to be quite difficult because you have a lot of them. You do have the Shura Elixir coming soon as well, and so there is going to be a new flanker of Darij as well. So I'm not really sure whether we will get it all, in a couple of weeks time or so. But if there were one fragrance that I would say from Afnan, you should definitely consider getting for this winter, this would be it, because this smells absolutely gorgeous in my opinion. Now, if you're looking at a lot of boozier scents that you want to explore, then definitely check out my previous video where I've spoken about 10 Middle Eastern boozy fragrances that are fantastic as well. And this one is available on decants and at the price point roughly about 2,600, 2,800, 3,000 rupees or so. This one is a classic killer flanker that you've got from Afnan. Okay, now especially people who like the Latafas, the Kingdom, or if you're considering Rehan Crimson or even the Havas Elixir, I think this one is a lot more masculine that way, a lot more easier to wear in the sense of being a more masculine fragrance, and because of its dark undertones of this nutty oriental spices along with a little bit of that pimento and the vanilla and the patchouli, this one is absolutely gorgeous. This is love in fact in a bottle. Very, very beautifully done from Afnan. And by the way, this is not a sponsored video. This is my pure honest thoughts about what I kind of like about this fragrance. It is not as robust as how the Afnan 9pm Rebel is, because that's a beautiful candy soft sweet fragrance, but still super loud and lasts very, very long. This isn't the most lasting fragrance at this point of time. That's why I said 4 to 5 hours time, but I'm sure after 3-4 months of good maceration, this one definitely should be well developed to last beyond 6 to 7 hours time. So if you're looking for a fantastic fragrance from the line of Afnan and for good winter fragrances this year, this one must be in your list. So if you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe and share, and I'll see you on another video. Until another time, take care. Bye bye.